This is the White Belts Odyssey, episode 1. And in this session, we're going to talk about sort of my beginnings in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. We're going to talk about my first sessions, some expectations that I had, some lessons that I've already learned, and some of the mistakes that I'm making, because I figured part of the value of starting this podcast was that if I'm struggling with some concepts, not really making progress that I thought I was, then I could, pose my questions not only to my instructors and people on the mat, but also I have the wider jiu-jitsu audience out here to sort of help me figure some stuff out, because it's all, a long learning journey. There'll be many halts and periods of quick progression, but the more help that I can find, I feel the better it will be for me. So starting off, I started jiu-jitsu. I've been training jiu-jitsu for a month now. It's already taught me so much, and already not just in terms of techniques and in terms of grappling, but also just it's helped me immensely with just day-to-day life. I mean, before I started jiu-jitsu, I was sort of reaching a point in my life where I was aggressive. I was just this aggressive sort of pent up young 20-year-old that was just not lashing out badly at things, but I could sort of feel myself start to slip. Like if I'm at work and someone's slacking off and not putting in a lot of effort, I'd start to let them know how I felt about it, even though I really wasn't sort of in a place to do so. Like, I'd be strict on my colleagues and be like, God, they're not giving it as much as I am. Why are you here? Why are you organizing your life this way? Just really being judgmental. And it was looking back on it now, it was sort of, I think, my ego really getting the better of me and getting out of line, and also me imposing elements of my life that I really didn't want to let slip, and seeing that in other people, and sort of, I don't know, imposing my fears onto them, being like, God, you are exactly what I don't want to turn out like, and then taking it out on them. It was not healthy and not sustainable in terms of friendships, and also in a workplace scenario. It doesn't look good the way I was heading. But then I started jiu-jitsu, and just rocking up to the first class, a total white belt, not knowing anybody. Also, I'm learning jiu-jitsu in my second language. I'm living in Paris at the moment, so I'm learning jiu-jitsu in French. So even if I get to the point where I'm a blue belt that's been training for a year, someone that walks right into the gym who's like 14 and half my weight, they can they can still teach me something because they know the language better than I do. So there we go. That's already something that everybody almost in the room has on top of me. So I can find value in each and every person, which I think is very good to know. Very good to keep in the back of your mind when you're studying jiu-jitsu. But anyway, so I rock up to this gym. It's in like an old cellar, which I think was converted from like a wine cave, because everything in France is converted from an old wine cave. Complete white belt, standing at the back of this room with all these dudes who look actually just like normal people, which also surprised me a little bit. Everybody's really chill. We're walking in, a couple of people, like before the warm-up, some people are just rolling around. I don't know what they're doing at this point. They're just rolling around. It looks like two snakes sort of entwining with each other and fighting. And everyone's just standing around, just chilling out. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Stand at the back of the room, and the instructor comes out. We all bow, start it off, and then rip into some techniques, and I know absolutely nothing. But something that I found surprising about jiu-jitsu as well is that everybody is so chill. Like, jiu-jitsu guys are really actually chill people, which, I mean, I personally didn't expect, because you think of the martial arts stereotypes. They're very aggressive. Well, stereotypically, I thought coming into it, martial arts people, very aggressive, very out to dominate, sort of, beat up everybody and show that they're, the best in the room. They're the hardest person out. But no, you walk into this jiu-jitsu gym and everybody's just, average looking dudes who are just really chill. was something that really took me back. And yeah, it was a really sort of disarming experience at the start. And I came into it and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking give it everything I've got this class. Like, they're gonna see like, oh yeah, I'm this young, tall dude. I'm gonna, show them how much of a hard motherfucker I am. And we're doing the warm-ups. And we're doing, you warm up, you're doing all your jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups and all that sort of stuff. And then we're doing like hip escapes on the ground. And I think we had to do like 20. And so I was sort of looking around, seeing what everyone else was doing. Everyone's just like doing these hip escapes. So I'm in the back of the room, like going full out, like throwing my hips to the back of the room, like going, yeah, I'm a hip escape and watch this. And by the end of the warm up, I was drenched, puffing, and everyone's looking at me like, bro, what are you doing? Who is this dude? Well, so and then I was looking around like, okay. All right, I think maybe I'm approaching this in the wrong way. I'm just gonna stand back, sort of, just maybe watch a little bit, just sort of see what everyone else is doing, because everyone else is approaching this different to how I am. So maybe I should, learn from them, learn from the people who have been here for ages, or the higher white belts and the blue belts. And so we start, learning techniques and stuff. And oh god, what were we doing the first day? We're doing like from guard, you go into a throw to pin to get an arm bar. I know I'm messing up the terminology. Also learning it in French and then trying to translate to English. I don't know the exact terminology yet, but when we're doing it, I'm like, okay, so I need a hip escape here and throw my knee in here and then chuck this guy over my shoulder and put him to the ground, and I was with a more experienced white belt. I think it was like a white belt 3 stripe or something, and he did it to me first, and just sort of like the ease in which he manipulated me, and I was a fair bit heavier than this dude, a fair bit taller and a fair bit heavier than this guy, and just the ease in which he sort of manipulated me and threw me around. I was like, oh yeah, I need to push this. I need to go really hard and sort of throw him around. And so I'm trying to do it, and the dude's just like, bro, chill. Jiu-jitsu is more about leverage and weight placement and making it easy. He's like, here, when you bridge, push up from your hips and look over your shoulder. And I did it, and just how easy it was. I didn't need to throw anything. It was safer for everybody already, which is like, looking back on it, it's just like, oh my god. You see like early white belts. I feel like this is a phase that I'm just starting to come out of. You like these, like us early white belts. I shouldn't exclude myself from this yet, but us early white belts, that when we come in and just sort of go ham and throw stuff, even though we have no idea what the hell we're doing. It's kind of dangerous, and it's something that I think in our gym we sort of help coach people through this fairly quickly and fairly easily. I feel like even for me, I feel like I'm pretty much over that now, a month into it. But at the start, it was, looking back, I'm glad I didn't hurt anyone just by, just by the force in which I was throwing people unnecessarily and using bad technique and all this sort of stuff. But the first time that I actually did something technically correct and felt how easy it was, and just this flow and chill movement and getting someone there, I was like, oh my god. It was sort of like in superhero movies when Peter Parker like shoots a web for the first time, and you sort of stop and take back and go, whoa, like what did I just do? Like that, it sort of felt like that to me, and I think it was from there that I was really like, okay, I see the appeal in this now. I see why jiu-jitsu's growing as quickly as it is now, and its popularity with everybody, because it's just so, like, once you get out of the aggression and sort of the instinctual just hardcoreness of it, like in the fight or flight, and sort of being insecure and and aggressive with it. Just the ease and the flow is just so, it's sort of relaxing, really, which is it's a complete it's a complete counterpoint to what you think it is, which was such a crazy realization for me. It was insane. But so that was a couple of the first lessons I learned, not even technical, just within my life. It was just such a big, it just chilled me out so much, because I realized that there's no point in anything really going hardcore and aggressive and everything, because you just waste, firstly, you waste a whole bunch of energy for a lesser result than just chilling, finding the path of least resistance, and just sort of flowing into these movements. It was such an eye-opening lesson that sort of took me a little bit to implement, but but jiu-jitsu, I mean, already is just mellowed me out so much. And I've noticed already a big shift and improvement in my relationships at work and socially. Like, I'm much more chill if I'm out walking with my girlfriend and we're trying to get somewhere and there's a bunch of slow walkers and people on their phones and people in my way and stuff. Instead of like getting like, oh, get out of my way, like, I have places to be, bro. Instead of getting all, huffy puffy and ragey about it, I'm sort of just like, just chill. It's a nice day most of the time. Just enjoy the walk. You don't have to get there immediately. Just chill, enjoy the walk. It's a fun time at work. If someone's, whinging about the work, or they're talking about things in their life which maybe I don't really see as problematic, I'm like, bro, it's just this is what someone finds difficult. Just chill, and if you help them through it instead of adding to their stress, it's just gonna make life better for everybody. Like, it's just the path of least resistance. Why create more struggle and waste more energy? It doesn't help anybody. It's been a very valuable lesson, that it's one that I've needed to learn for a while, I think. But jiu-jitsu is really what, fully taught it to me and opened my eyes to it. And also I think it's just been good to let off just some energy and just some steam and just to chill, just work hard. Because, like, I mean, training for an hour, and then now I'm at the point where I can train for an hour and roll for like half an hour, 45 minutes, and just afterwards you're just so relaxed. Like, yeah, you don't care about anything after. Well, I mean, like, obviously you care about anything, but things just don't get to you afterwards, after an hour of getting choked out and tapping out for, mostly. Like, you don't care about anything. It's so nice, and it's really sweetened my view on the world, which was weird. It's not something I expected, especially so quickly. But yeah, there was some great lessons that I learned. But also, technically, now I'm starting to understand the key concepts of the sport a bit more. It's not about trying to physically dominate. Also, just the progression of how a jiu-jitsu match works. Like, I rolled my first lesson for something. I don't know why. I was sort of like, oh well, let's see what this can do. My first lesson, I didn't know anything. I was just like, a dude. I remember I went with this blue belt, and looking back on it, he put me in a side control, and I think he just had his knee. On my chest, and he just sort of sat there and looked at me, and I'm underneath him, like, thrashing around, trying to move around, like, trying to just throw this guy off me, and he's looking at me like, bro, what? That was funny. This is something I can look back on and laugh at now, but at the time I was like, what the hell is going on? But now I'm sort of learning the fundamental steps of the game, which I think, and this sort of stuff is where I would really love some input. And if I'm wrong, or maybe a little bit off, I'd love to hear from people and see what other people have to say. But now I feel like I know that jiu-jitsu is about, you start with a takedown. You either take down or you get taken down. Fight goes to the ground, and then if you're in a defensive position, you need to stop their attacks. Like you need to first priority is stop attacks. If they're, sliding in to set up a choke, you need to take their hand off your collar. If they're getting your sleeves to set up for an armbar, you need to get the hand off the sleeve and sort of maneuver yourself into a position where you can reverse and get yourself into an offensive position. So you need to first shut down their attack, maneuver yourself so you can reverse and get into your own offensive position. And from there, you need to attack. You need to pick, depending on your situation and the position you have, you need to pick a submission or a choke that which for me is quite limited, and apply it, really. And I'm at the point now where, I know later down the line you sort of have to misguide people so that they can make mistakes, and they expose an arm in the wrong spot, or they move a leg the wrong way or something, and you can capitalize on their mistakes. But I don't really know enough to do that yet. So like now, where I'm at in my rolling combative journey now is I'm at the point where I'm an okay defender. Like I can in a 10 minute, in a 5 minute, not 10 minutes, in a 5 or 6 minute session, if I'm rolling with someone, if they're more experienced, I'll get tapped once maybe, and if they're less experienced, then either I don't get tapped or I submit them very occasionally. I think I've submitted 3 people in my career so far, but that's where I'm sort of at the moment. But something I'm struggling with, and I talked to my instructor, and he's like, bro, this just comes with time. But now, because defending is sort of I'm becoming aware of what I need to do defensively, and then I know a few things that I can get into, like a guard, or I can slip into a side control, or if someone's trying to escape my guard, then I can, depending on how they escape from it, I can put them down and get them into a mount or something. Once I do that, then it's my turn to attack. But once I'm in those positions, I'm at the point where I sort of I sit on top of them in mount, for example. I'm like, okay, now what? Everything just sort of leaves my head. I'm like, oh god, okay, I can try this choke, and then I don't get my setups properly, and then it's already sort of doomed from the start because I've got this weak, not high enough grip within their collar, and they see it coming from a mile away, so they tuck their chin and stop my other hand. But I know it's something that comes with time, but I'm sort of not sure how to overcome that so far. I don't know if I need to, before I go into a class, think of like one submission that I want to do and just focus on trying to get into an offensive position, just focus on doing that, or if I need to sort of go with the flow more and sort of work at how I worked, or how I'm working defense, which is just just going with the flow. And the difference with defense is it's all completely reactionary. You're not driving it as much. You're reacting to their attacks and everything. But I guess offense is also sort of the same thing. You're seeing where they're moving and you're setting yourself into positions. But yeah, so I'm not sure how to go about that, and I'd really love some input on that. Do I pick a submission, go in with the intent of submitting someone or choking them out with a specific thing and just working on it with a bunch of different people? Or do I, think of a couple, like think of an armbar, a choke, and, something like starting from mount and then starting from side control and try and work those things? It's something that, it's a balance that I sort of need to work out myself as well, but I'd love someone else's input because I'm not too sure. But also I've learned recently, like in the last couple of days, like there's this really stupid sort of Hail Mary mistake that I'm making, which I think I think I could be completely wrong. I think eventually the strategy isn't a horrible one, but for now, because I'm so new and inexperienced, I really don't know how to apply it. I really don't know how to apply it and make the most of it. Like I'll be in a bad position, right? Like I'll be mounted on. Someone's got my, they're setting up for like I'm like 2 steps away from being choked out or submitted, and I'm in such like a tight spot that I'm like, okay, if I attack them, like if I try and do this like cross collar choke thing while they're on top of me and about to choke me out, maybe they'll have to abort mission on their attack and try and deal with mine, and then I can reverse them and it'll work out sweet, and then I can tap them out. It's never worked. I mean, maybe when I get a bit better it'll work, but I feel like you need to really just follow these steps of the game that I feel like I'm starting to work out now. So start off by stopping their attack, getting yourself, defending their attack, getting to sort of neutral, whether like just in guard, just in mount, just in side control, just in something, reversing so that you're now in the attacking dominant position, then applying your attack from a solid base. I feel like that's I need to follow that more rather than just like, I'm about to die, may as well try and take them out first, because some of the positions I've been in are actually not as dire as I think they are. And then by trying to throw this random Hail Mary attack that's completely just not set up right, I expose myself more and then just get submitted quicker. It's something I need to work on. I think just following the steps of the game more. It's when I noticed it the other day, I was like, what the hell am I doing? It's really weird. But that's one of the steps, which the goal is obviously to get the stripes, get the blue belt, but also it's this chasing belts and progressing is this sort of weird thing to me, because I mean, you look at everyone, you're like, I want to be a black belt, I want to wear that black belt, all that sort of stuff. But I've come to realize as well that, I mean, especially with jiu-jitsu, because there's no, I mean, the instructor decides when you're ready. It's not, you meet XYZ requirements. I mean, I assume in their heads you meet XYZ requirements, but there's no like sheet with, if you can do this, and this, you tick these boxes, you get your next thing. Like it's developing your game fully to get to the next progression. So instead of chasing a belt per se, instead of chasing, I'm going to get my stripe, like I'm doing this to get my belt. Instead, it's more about developing foundational understandings of the sport, which for me right now is the flow of a match, the order in which things proceed, the basic principles, like learning how to conserve energy, learning how to actually tire out an opponent and capitalize on their mistakes, which another mistake I'm making as well at the moment, which I need to work on, is I'm in positions with people, like I'll be like putting pressure on them, and I think I'm really tiring them out, but then I realize that I'm actually in a position where I'm tiring myself out more and not really doing anything to them, which is kind of, stupid. So learning how to actually tire out an opponent, understanding just some basic, just getting over this I'm going to call it grappler's block. I'm sure there's a term out there already for it, but I haven't stumbled across it yet. But for us newbie white belts, I'm going to call it grappler's block, where you get into an attack and you just blank, can't do anything. So yeah, I think the next order of progression for me, in order to get, not that chasing stripes or belts matters, it doesn't. It's just a tangible representation of the level that you're at. But you need to actually attain the level to get the mark for it. So now prioritize understanding the flow of a match, getting over grappler's block, even if it's just one thing. Just focus on doing one thing, like getting, if I'm in this position, I know, well, or just getting an armbar from any position or something, just like an armbar or a choke, just one submission from every position, I think is sort of the next step in the direction that I want to go. That's sort of the next step in the in the progression. So yeah, on that's been episode 1 of the White Belts Odyssey. And I'm as I said, I'm doing this to document my own experiences starting from a white belt to hopefully black belt, because I feel like it would be a valuable tool for people to have, like, if there are white belts just starting out, or, eventually, hopefully, like whatever level of your game that you're at, I'll have, a real-time documentation of at least my journey, so I can provide, a closer perspective to relate to what people might be going through. And there's and then, the wider jiu-jitsu community can help answer these questions that people face throughout different points in their journey. And I'm, talking about it as it's happening. I mean, I feel like that could be valuable to people coming through jiu-jitsu, but also I find it completely valuable to me as well, because talking into the mic, I get to, reflect on my journey so far and think of things in the future. And also I get to ask people for help. I like talking about things also really helps me work things out in my head as well. So I think this is just a very nice way to, help advance things in my head and get help. So with that, thanks for listening to this first episode, and see you in the next one. Bye.